Thank you very much. I will kick off with a formal introduction on behalf of myself and Liana and JP Stoops, who's the other co-founder who has not joined us today. We are happy to welcome you to, I think, our 6th or 7th meetup group for the new digital kids. So just to provide a little bit of history on this one, this is a community-based group. It started in the Bay Area, but now we are happy to welcome people from all over the country and in other countries as well, so that we can join together virtually and talk about what types of play experiences are really fun for kids in both digital and retail marketplaces. I think as a marketer in the last couple of years, we've seen a big shift from, what we considered two very distinct types of product categories, one which was app-based or internet-based, and one which was more about physical products. And what we've realized is kids just love to play. So being able to blend and work effectively through these different types of categories is really helpful to understand how to create the best play experiences for them. So we like to collect people from all the different walks of life: designers, engineers, marketers, entrepreneurs, CEOs, everybody, so that we can all, get our heads together and recognize who the great innovators are in our community, and to collaborate and tackle tough problems. So that's the purpose of the group. We've had some really fun about doing children's research, about looking at voice and how that's going to be affecting product development in the future, about how to launch a product and to license it if you're an inventor. And we always try to think of fun topics that we can bring up that will be really value added for the community. And so I recently met Isaac, who is the CEO and founder of Toys2Life, actually, I listened to a podcast that he was on, and I was really excited about what he's building, and he offered to come on board and give us a demo along with his colleague Bird, and with a very, very special guest, Estella, who's on with us and going to be showing us how the platform works. So with that, I am pleased to introduce Isaac and Bird and Estella, who are going to be taking it from here to show us everything about Toys2Life and how you can make your toys more conversational. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Caitlin. I think there's not a huge number of people as of yet. So if you do have questions as we're going along, and you want to unmute and ask those or put them in the chat, I'll try to follow those as we go. Yeah, I have been in smart toys for maybe 7 or 8 years now. I headed up the engineering group at Sphero for a couple of years during their big growth spurt. And while I was there, I had this idea, and I did a lot of contract engineering work. I worked with a lot of startups, and this was kind of the best idea that I had come up with. And I figured it was my time to try to pursue something and put something out there in the market. And so I decided to just build it myself, which is generally a bad idea. It's the classic engineering mistake. But we're having a lot of fun with it. And so the idea was, basically, we did just a lot of stuff with Bluetooth technology at Sphero, and my light is. And so I was pretty familiar with that, and it was getting pretty inexpensive. And so we got to a point where I figured that we could put these onto toys, and we could use the proximity effect on these toys with the Bluetooth, so that we could tell which ones were getting closer together, which ones were getting farther apart. And you could allow the kids to select, which toys were going to talk to which other toys. And that had a big appeal to me, because I was hoping to make tactile play and playing with physical toys more competitive with, say, a first-person shooter or something like that. And then what happened is, I was working with Bird in the early days. We were working on the tools for building up these characters that would talk to each other. And I figured that, if we made these tools a little bit simpler, we could even have the kids themselves making their own characters, so they wouldn't just be playing with, the out-of-the-box characters. And so that's what we did. Now we've got Estella and a bunch of other kids that are in our club that are making their own characters that can then talk to each other. And so it's kind of a modern puppetry kind of experience. It takes that same, hi, how are you? And where the kids are doing their thing with their tactile play with their toys, but it allows them to create a character that they can then put out there into the world, share with their friends, and give a voice to, the toys that they've got at home already. And so I've got these radio kits that I've started to sell. And I think it has an appeal to the same kind of kids that say Minecraft or Dungeons and Dragons does. There's a lot of kids out there that really get into kind of role playing and kind of theater oriented play. And it's also great. I mean, I've worked with a lot of teachers, done a lot of workshops at libraries and schools, and it gets kids writing, and to where they don't even notice they're writing maybe. And so that has been a big draw for a lot of the educators that have had interest in it. I'm trying to make it fun enough that it won't just get sidelined to this educational only thing. It may get there eventually, but if we can get the experience to be engaging enough, my hope is to just have it be a toy that you happen to learn as you're using it. And then another thing that Build a Robot, which is where Estella's mom works, I work with them doing workshops there. They have been really into socio-emotional learning. And because of the way the system works, where you're writing these dialogue lines and we guide the kids through how to write a greeting and how to write a request for sympathy and an I'm sorry and a let's make up and I'm angry, and you're listening to somebody and you do go on angry when they tell you something that's totally unjust and you say, that's terrible. So there's putting these tags onto dialogue gives kids an opportunity to name emotions, which is a big part of just becoming aware, becoming socio-emotionally aware. And so anyway, those are some of the things that, are the pro-social positive pieces of all this. We're not going to be doing the physical toys today just because it's easier to use the computer interface. And we do a lot of that now with our club and our classes because they can't physically get together to play their toys, but it is really fun to see them when they actually, this is my character, it's my favorite Stuffy, and I did the voice for it, and you can have it talk to your friend's favorite character that they did. So Bert, is there anything you want to add about the system before we get into maybe demoing some of it?
No, that was a great explanation. Hi, everybody. I'm Bird. I'm a creative writing instructor at CU Boulder. I think we can go to the demonstration and ask Estella a few questions. Estella, first tell us what Kigwin is, and then tell us what you like about Toys2Life.
Kigwin is an animal that's a mix between a kitty and a penguin.
Well, that's got to be one of the finest things in imaginary life. Okay, and what do you like about, you've been doing Toys2Life with us since like July, every month. It's been a long time. What has kept you doing it? Why is it interesting for you?
Well, it's interesting because it's kind of funny to listen to the characters and stuff talk to each other, and fun to make them.
Yeah, and Estella, do you want to say what grade you're in?
4th grade.
Estella's in 4th grade. All right, and we're going to see one of your characters shortly named Spot. Before we see him, do you want to tell this group about this character you made, Spot?
I don't remember a lot, but he's a dog named Spot, and he's a real Stuffy. And that's all I remember.
That's pretty good. You covered the basics, Estella. You're doing great. All right, Estella, why don't you share screen for us? Remember to share your sound. And what we're going to see now is Estella's character, Spot, playing against one of the other kids' characters who is artificial intelligence posing as a human.
Okay. Come on. Let's get in the ocean. Look at all this seaweed. Don't worry. There shouldn't be any fish this close. Let's go.
What? Can you believe this beach? Selling popsicles but no ice cream in sight? Ugh.
Let's go over there, fearless friend. I want to build a sand castle. We can use these shells and rocks for decoration. Or we can dig a river around the castle and pour water in.
Did you expose me?
It was not me. I was over there chasing my tail for good reasons.
I just realized I have no free will.
I regret 100%.
You're one of those people who can't appreciate life, aren't you?
So Estella, maybe you can move one of the other characters out so they can see just how you can switch characters out.
Furless, filthy creature.
Okay.
Maybe like one of the
No
ponies or
offense.
Bjorn.
Out of all the bad jokes I've ever heard,
Try,
yours.
try Gracie. Oh yeah, Danny Patel. That's
Don't
fine.
take
Or
it
Gracie
personal.
Gormigork.
Okay.
Mm,
I'll put it with Spot.
My empathy sense is tingling.
Joe's mad at me. Hi there, I'm Spot.
Call me Danny Patel. Actually, don't call me that. That's my secret identity. Let's start over. Call me Superhero until I figure out what my superhero name should actually be.
I have this whole collection of my owner's food under the picture box room. Fluff, my really awesome space friend, once told me that he time traveled 100 trillion years back when the Rockweiler Rexes roamed Earth.
Wow, you don't say.
You want to pause it, Estella?
He saw many R-Rexes, and then one of them saw him. The R-Rex came stomping towards him.
Okay.
All right, awesome. And Estella, do you remember what they were talking about, the AI and Spot, at the very beginning of that conversation?
The beach.
Yeah, so do you know what tag that was?
Let's go to the beach.
Yeah, or at the beach, something like that. So the idea with that particular tag is that the characters are talking about being at the beach. Both characters have certain lines that include the tag at the beach. And so when the characters get together, they can have a conversation about the beach. And there are lots of other combinations possible. For instance, one character can ask a yes/no question, and the next one can answer yes or no. And that's how some of those phrases fit together. That's how we create these dialogue models, which are collections of different phrase types like at the beach or yes/no question combined. And what we wanted to do today was actually to be a little bit interactive and get input from all of you as we create a new character. But before we do that, does anybody have any questions about what you've seen so far?
Bert, I was wondering if you could tell a little bit about how the lines of dialogue are written and composed. I guess we'll see it in person, but how the kids are actually creating this content and how it gets applied in the situations that come up with the tags.
That is a great question. And I think the best way to learn it is to see it because we are about to do this wizard, which walks the kids through the steps of recording some of the lines that have specific tags associated with them. And we'll kind of all do it together and we'll see that process.
Yeah, and I forget how many wizards we have right now. There's around a dozen or so. There's intermediate, advanced 1, 2, 3. There's storytelling wizards. There's wizards for these topical things like being at the beach or being at dinner. So there's actually a lot of content in there, and a lot of the educators, what they like is that once we get a kid started, and you'll see this, you just get into a wizard and you go and your character just gets more built up. There's kind of writing instruction for each of these different types of tags.
Is there a video on your site or somewhere where we can see the relationship between the analog and the digital?
Yes. So if
Okay.
I'll put my site address, Toys2Life.net, and there is a YouTube video there that shows some stuffies moving around, and you can see the different characters talking to each other physically.
Yeah, maybe we can even show that video after this next part of the tutorial.
We could.
Great.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Awesome. Yeah, and Isaac just put the link in the chat.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is to make a character. And so I think what would be great would to get some feedback from all of you for the crowd so we can kind of crowdsource this particular character. Characters in Toys to Life are pretty much anything. They can be robots, animals, superheroes, whatever kind of thing you imagine. So does anybody want to suggest identity for this new character we're about to make? What order of being they may be?
Kigwin?
You want to do a Kigwin? Okay, good. Yeah, let's make the character a Kigwin, Estella. Does anybody in the group, anybody in the crowd, want to give Kigwin a particular job? And you can feel free to talk on the mic or to drop it in the chat. And there's definitely no wrong answer to this question.
A teacher, that's a good one.
Good. And Estella, I think you had an idea to do a professor character too once, so this will be perfect. Kigwin the teacher. Kigwin the teacher, love it. Estella, what do you think Kigwin the teacher teaches?
He teaches random animals that are really weird, that are like Kigwins.
Good. And what subject does he teach them?
Animals?
He teaches the animals about animals?
Yeah.
Good. Love it.
Zoology professor.
Yes, he's a zoology professor.
Next. Kig. Age.
And the age doesn't matter yet. We're not using it in the algorithm yet, but eventually we might want to address like kid-aged animals differently, or teen or adult-aged characters from others.
I'm gonna do 6.
That sounds fine, because I have no idea what 6 means in Kigwin years.
Yeah.
Next.
And this was put in for being able to do some pronoun stuff. I haven't added a third pronoun because we're not actually using it yet. And I'm not sure
whichever one you like, Estella.
Okay. Oh, I'm going to do the picture.
Yeah, so the kids actually really like this part where they can decide what avatar the characters have. And sometimes in class, we have them draw their own avatar, this kind of thing. They like to make some visual art. But yeah, that looks like a good one, Estella.
Enters author's Unidragon, I guess. Save. Should we watch the video?
No. Okay, so what we're seeing here is this is a wizard, and the Danny Patel character, if you press play, he tells you about what's happening, that we're making this character. He gives some suggestions about things you should think about before you make the character, and that's pretty much what's going on here. It's just a video. So Estella, you can go to the next one where we'll be recording the first line.
It might be worthwhile to play a little bit of the video just so people can get a sense for the workflow.
Maybe this video would be a good one to play? Yeah, go ahead, Estelle, play this video.
Think of a greeting for your character. This is how they say, hi. I like to say, hello, citizen. An alien could say, greetings from the planet Zorfilon. What does your character say? Maybe they say hello by introducing themselves. Once you've picked a greeting, type it into the box to the bottom left. Then, press the record button below and read the greeting into your microphone. Press record again when you're done, and then click the play button to hear how it sounds. You can record it again if it doesn't sound right. Then...
Okay.
All right, and so we need a greeting. So if anybody wants to suggest on the microphone or in the chat a way that Kigwin, the zoology professor, would say hello, then you can go for it.
Hi, animals.
That's a good one.
That sounds great.
Hi, animals.
Hi, animals. I'm Professor Kigwin.
I am Professor Kigwin.
Okay, and Estella is going to have to decide on what kind of voice she wants to use for this particular character. I bet you have a Kigwin-y voice in you somewhere.
Okay. Hi, animals. I'm Professor Kigwin.
Okay, and if you do the conversation button so they can hear how this will be used, this gives them context.
Hi, animals. I'm Professor Kigwin.
Hi, I'm Skylar.
Take my hand in friendship and call me Bjorn Orson.
Hi, animals. I'm Professor Kigwin.
So those are two examples of what it would look like if two characters were exchanging the greeting tag with each other.
Okay.
So I think this one's good, Estella. Yeah, go for the next one.
Yes or no question.
Yeah, so this is any question that can be answered with a yes or a no. So if anyone has any suggestions of the kinds of things you think that Kigwin, the zoology professor, might ask about.
What is a duck-billed platypus?
I like the duck-billed platypus angle. We'll just need to massage it so that it could be answered with a yes or a no. What do you think, Estella? How would you make this duck-billed platypus question a yes or no question?
Do you think the platypus is the only animal that can lay eggs?
Nice, very good.
Do you think that?
Estella, is a platypus the only mammal that can lay eggs?
Yeah.
There's another one.
Really?
Yeah, spiny anteater.
Oh, anteater. What do you
Echidna. Anyway.
Do you think that the platypus is the only animal that can lay eggs?
That's a great
Only
question, Estella.
mammal. Mammal.
Oh yeah, only mammal
Good
that
point.
can lay eggs. Do you think that the platypus is the only mammal that can lay eggs? I think I spelled platypus. Platypus.
Awesome.
Save an X. Okay, yes.
Estella, do you want to tell the group some examples of ways that a character can say yes?
Like, of course. Or, oh yeah, why not?
Good. Now, Estella, do you think that Kigwin makes a particular kind of noise?
Maybe like, what sound do penguins make? Meow.
Good. So maybe like a yes and then one of those.
Yes. Yes. Meow. Okay, save an X.
All right, now we've got a no. If anybody wants to give any no suggestions. And you can feel free to use the chat too if you like, or the microphone.
No one's channeling their inner Kigwin.
How about like a really long honk?
Oh, I like that. Do you think you've got that in you, Estella?
Yeah, well, I did do honking for 30 seconds before.
Maybe
You
not
did.
30 seconds this time.
She made a goose character who honked 30 times. It was really something to see, but I think one long one will be enough.
Okay. Wait, but do penguins even go honk?
Well, I don't know about penguins, but I'm sure that Kigwins do.
Okay. Honk.
Love it.
Okay.
Isaac, do you think that's enough or should we do additional tags?
I'm trying to think if there's any other in here that bring out the character much. We might want to do one more real quick.
We can kind of cycle through and see if there's a good one.
If you click on the menu on the left, we can see which other ones are in there.
Okay, next.
Keep going. Or you can click on the menu like Isaac said.
Hey, Estella, when we get to the next one, let's use the teach speech to text. So don't type it in and they can see how terribly it figures out what you're saying.
There's speech to text?
Yeah. So if you record first without typing anything, it'll try and figure it out.
Okay, then. Well, I guess I'll just try. Are you having a good or
Well, what would the zoology professor Kigwin say?
are you having a day where you're getting like 100% on all your tests?
There you go. Is this an A+ testing day?
Where you get 100 A plus on every single test? Are you having a day where you get A++ on every single test?
And so this one's almost as much of a yes or no question. And we get this occasionally, the linguistics, like if we use the conversation one, we could see how some of the other characters would respond. And if the how are you doing, when they say I'm not doing so great today or I'm doing awesome, it probably fits pretty well with this. But that's one of the things, I think that's a lot of the writing learning that's going on is how dialogue works and what responses and what requests go together.
Okay, the next one.
You want to go ahead and do End Wizard and try this character out now?
Okay, then End Wizard. Do you think that the platypus is the only... Oh.
You ripped my costume. Mom just finished sewing that. She has arthritis. I do believe you've done something so dastardly, I can't even say it out loud. I do believe you've done something so dastardly,
Estella,
I can't...
try pulling them off and putting...
You ripped my costume.
Okay. I'll do it with Danny Patel again. Do you think that the platypus is the only mammal that can lay eggs?
Your superpower is either being bad at dancing, frightening small children, or at best, freeze breath.
Do you think that the platypus is the only mammal that can lay eggs?
Your superpower is either being bad at dancing, frightening small children, or at best, freeze breath.
Do you think that the platypus is the only mammal that can lay eggs?
So that is one problem with creating characters that only have 6 or 7 lines, is the dialogue generator selection algorithm can get tripped up a little bit.
Estella, which character that you made do you think has the most lines?
It was Spot, right?
Yeah, Spot.
And how many megabytes do you think that file is?
It was like 10.
You celebrated when he got to 10, I remember.
Estella's real proud that this is a 10 megabyte character.
Okay.
You might have to do resume.
Resume.
Hi, animals. I'm Professor Kigwin.
Hello from the village of dogs.
Do you think that the platypus is the only mammal that can lay eggs? Do you think that the platypus is the only mammal that can lay eggs?
Okay.
You got the idea. Can we all have a round of applause for Estella and what a good job she did making that character? Estella, that was really great, as per usual. Isaac, what do you think? Do we want to do some Q&A, or is there more you wanted to say?
Yeah, so I was going to maybe talk a little bit about places that I am thinking of taking this, and I would love to get people's questions about what I'm doing, and also just whatever suggestions and input that they have. And I can tell them kind of a couple of the things that I'm thinking of doing next, maybe, and then we can do questions and suggestions. Does that work, Caitlin?
Yeah, Estella, do you want to stop sharing your screen so that Isaac and everyone who's speaking can be really big?
Okay.
And everybody, feel free to come off mute and to speak in person if you like, or if you prefer, you can still continue to ask questions in the Q&A. Thanks.
Yeah, so I can tell you the two things that I've, from the testing and play that I've done over the last 6 months that seem to be necessary is kids, they create these things and they really need a forum to share them. So we've got this class and club and they can share it with their friends in the class or the club. And it seems to be one of those experiences where, you know, like a kid with crayons, they might spend 10 minutes drawing something and then at the end there's a, hey, look, mom, or they show their sister. And that piece at the end where they get to show off their work is really important. And because it's such a small community, that's pretty limited. So we've been playing with Slack. I don't know, some of you might be familiar with that from your workplace, but it's a forum where you can share files and you can post text and chat back and forth, and you got a permanent record of it. So we're setting up a Slack interface where kids can go in and share with each other outside of our class and club times. We get into all kinds of potential COPA issues eventually with that. So right now it's just kids for whom we know their parents. But if we can really launch that and expand it out, we'll have to solve the COPA problem as well with that. We can go fully moderated, I think, for probably the first few hundred users at least. So that's the plan for the sharing part right now. But if we had like a peer-to-peer online way where you could share with your friend across town and have a way to publish your stuff, maybe even get some stats on who's played your character for how many minutes or something like that, I think that might be a good driver for kids. But that's one of the things I'm looking into. And then the other thing that I'm looking into is getting it onto more platforms, because right now it's Windows 10 only, and lots of kids have Chromebooks, they have older iPads and things like that, and the ability for them to play with their characters on whatever device they've got that's got a radio, or to just play the online version, which some of the older kids seem to be pretty content with, you know, a game type screen experience, which wasn't my intent originally, but I've got this funny spread of, you know, 7-8-year-old kids that really like built-in characters that are familiar with, and they just control the conversation by moving them around. And then I've got kids that are kind of Estella's level of sophistication and up that really seem to enjoy the playing where you're actually doing the sandbox type of work, making your characters. So those are the two places I'm thinking of going next as far as what might provide the most value for the experience. But I know a lot of you guys have a huge amount of collected experience with kids, so I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, and also any questions you have.
Yeah, before we do that, why don't we show them the video of the toy interacting so that you can see how this launches into the physical world as well.
Yes, let me do that.
I have it up.
You got the video from the website?
Yeah.
Oh, I think you
Can you all hear it? Okay. That's what I was wondering.
And the first minute or so might be the stuff we've already gone over. You feel free to fast forward to where we're actually moving the toys around.
I'm not getting audio.
Oh, you're not. Oh. So sorry, let me try and put it in a different screen.
And if you want, I can also do a screen share from my machine and turn some of these on and do it live.
Yeah, do you mind doing that?
Not at all.
Thank you.
I just want to see an example of, you know, the digital thing and the physical thing. That's
yes.
all. It's just a little one. I can't visualize it yet.
Yeah. So yeah, we tried to make the avatar arena on the screen kind of the same as the bedroom floor experience, but until you see it.
If you clean the couch, I will not forgive you. I got used to the smelly baked in flavor.
Oh, I'm doing a screen share. You probably.
Then good job.
So I've got these toys.
But I didn't have a fishing rod, so I did it.
Can you guess who I went out with last?
And these toys are not necessarily assigned
I wish I could find
to characters that match up, but
a woman at the mall told me I look important.
Where's my screen share?
Don't care.
Are you done? You ripped my costume. Mom just finished sewing that. She has arthritis.
Okay, can you guys see the screen and hear the audio?
Never, ever. I swear upon my spaceship.
Okay, so I've got these
You
two
ripped
characters.
my
Maybe
costume.
You can see my video.
Mom,
I'm holding up these two.
Mother lost her pill.
I'm gonna go set this guy down over here.
This tastes just like the gogs we have back home. They're really good, get slimy.
Put these two together.
A woman at the mall.
And now they
Twinkle, twinkle,
the bottom of the
little star.
The characters
How I wonder
are changing.
The Norns guide the fate of we mortals. Now, let's play as though they guide our fingers.
And if I don't like the characters that
is
to
correct.
Toys, I can go.
The god Freyr had to give away his magic sword in order to woo a giantess. From that day, whenever he had to fight, he beat his opponents with a reindeer.
Maybe I want to put the.
You ripped my costume, Mom.
Isaac, you might want to pause for a second.
Oh, yeah.
She has arthritis.
Just so you know, we can't hear you talking while the characters are talking. They're too loud compared to you.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Okay. Yeah. So, you know, as we move the different characters close to one another, that's selecting who's talking. And then if we want to choose a different character, so maybe this guy I want to have be somebody else. So I'll go to assign radio. I'll pick the character that I created that I'm interested in. Maybe Mr. Monkey. I want this guy to be Mr. Monkey. And so I shake this one and you see that the assigned radio number 3 is selected. If I put him down and I shake this one, this guy has radio number 1. So we could assign Mr. Monkey to this one if we wanted. I'll go back to number 3. We'll save that. And now Mr. Monkey is associated with this character. So this is how the kids can choose which character that they've created or that's built in goes with the radio that's on the toy of their choice. And so now when we go back and talk.
This tastes just like the gogs we have back home.
Danny Patel together.
It's been another taxing day of checking the Hero Wanted ads. Say something to cheer a guy up, would you? You just shape yourself up, or I'll demonstrate what I learned in Yellow Belt class. On you.
Oh gosh, I just checked my Minerale Viola watch, and I gotta go. See you later, alligator. After a while, crocodile.
And then if I
Your
wanted,
mother should be ashamed.
Talk to each other.
No.
Closest.
Or house.
And so now you see the Viking.
I need a way to keep my sanity. You truly are.
You probably couldn't hear me, but you know, as I switched from the guy I had assigned to Mr. Monkey and the Danny Patel character, and then I switch out the Viking, that brought them together. So I don't have a great camera angle, but you can imagine that I've got these on my floor, and whichever two I'm bringing closest together are going to talk to each other. Hopefully that makes sense, even though we don't have like a live in person.
No, that's great. That's what I needed to know. I'm ironically 25 years ago when I was doing a storytelling app, I kept trying to tell people, I said, if you give a kid a Ken and Barbie, they'll put them together and all they will tell is Ken and Barbie stories. So you have to give them other things
Yes.
stimulate their imagination. Characters
Yes.
from, we did videos, but yeah. So I get that manipulation.
Yeah, and
That's all
I had
really,
the same issue.
yeah.
What I wound up doing was I brought in all these toys, and if it was Ken and Barbie and My Little Pony, they would pick their favorite one and they would do that voice and they would write those lines, and that's okay. But I really wanted to see them telling their own story. We have a lot of wizards that are have your character tell a scary story, have your character tell an adventure story, and we wanted them to do their own. So I would bring in white, like Starbucks coffee cups that were totally white paper cups, and they would draw the character they came up with on there, and we would take these rubber band radio things and we would stretch them around the cups. And then, so I've got like stacks of hundreds of cups that kids have decorated with markers to make all these different characters. And then we could move the cups around, and just like kids play with rocks and sticks and bring them to life, you know, you can use a Starbucks cup with markers on it. And I just personally enjoyed that more. It put them into a more creative space, I think.
I think what you're doing is fantastic. Caitlin, can I do a quick core dump?
Go for it.
Okay, so first off, you stole my brand, Digital Kids, but you're welcome to one of these card decks. I got about a dozen left. Isaac, Bird, Estella, about 25 years ago in the days of CD-ROM, I did a storytelling game. It was based on research at MIT's Media Lab and then Alan Kay's Vivarium project. And Alan was obsessed about end user programming. So it was really about kids learning to express themselves in ways that could create things. But it was a long time ago, so that was before, end user program, before what you can do. But one of the things I discovered was that if you start from scratch, no pun intended, if you started with a whiteboard, kids don't know what to do. And if you start with Ken and Barbie, it's only Ken and Barbie.
Yeah.
So you have to give them things. And we did 8 folk tales. We shot them in Hollywood with SAG actors. And I purposefully put in different characters in different stories from different cultures, so the kids would have the license to take somebody and run with them, And and we produced it. It was in what they called CD-ROM.
Yep.
Back then. Yeah. And I was a booth bunny in places like CES and the very first trip E3 and International Reading Association. And I watched kids. So everybody parked their kids at my booth, So I watched hundreds of kids and learned a lot from that experience. Right now, the first thing I wrote down is I work with very successful women entrepreneurs in Sweden that do, in Stockholm, actually they're from Budapest, but they do, 8x8 color matrix that the girls program in Python. Mm-hmm. So the Magic girls are all Python programmers, teenagers. But just to say, don't do Slack, do Disrupt.
Disrupt?
Yeah, because their girls love it. They're already there and they love to be there.
And that's what I was trying to find, was a place where kids were already congregating to be, because it's so much easier to do that than to try and create a new community.
Absolutely. I spent probably $6 million of John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation money to study kids. But it's 10 years ago, but now they're teenagers. But it's really about going where they are.
Yeah.
I love Kevin Costner as an actor, but to build it and they'll come,
Yeah.
So that's my first thing. Second thing is sometime offline, you guys and I, well, you guys and I should talk about target audiences. I got a person that really understands how you can get to schools, and all the kids that I advise in Europe and Asia now mostly. I've been trying to explain to them about pandemic pods and homeschool buyers club,
Mm-hmm.
But what you're doing is, if you think about it in that context, is you will be the guy with the white hat for parents all over the world.
That's what I would love to do. And I would love to talk to you about this some more. I think Bird's got a spreadsheet or a Google form that we can get like email addresses, or you could private message me inside the Zoom, but I would love to talk to you further.
Well, the quickest way is carter@me.com. I'm in Mill Valley, so Pacific time, and I followed Sphero. Do you know Bob Christopher?
I do not.
Oh, well, he's a robot guy who did a spectacular robot toy maybe 15 years ago. And it's only interesting because it was physical and it was AI. Okay. But there's another guy that you should talk to in New York is Richard Gottlieb. Caitlin, you know, he's kind of the godfather of the toy industry. So he should know about you and help you think about, you know, how to get out there.
Yeah.
You're doing a wonderful thing. You got a lot of work to do. I mean, you know, if you turned over your whole design group to Estella, you'd probably make progress much faster. But of course, she's busy with other stuff, you know. But we'll talk offline, and I'll do what I can to help, because I really, really like what you're doing. I've thought about what you're doing, or I did think about what you're doing when I was younger and smarter, but I did a lot of homework and a lot of testing. So
yeah, I really want to talk. And you said it was carter@me.com, mi.com?
Yeah, me, M-E.
Me.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
Sorry, Caitlin, I didn't mean to kind of.
Thank you, Michael. You know, there's two other groups that I have seen represented in the chat that actually cross some of my experience as a marketer. One of them is voice first designers, conversational designers, and people who work in that technology. So I'd love to hear from some people in that group, as well as people who are working on toys that are audio first and might have some interesting thoughts about how kids are playing with those type of audio only platforms. So does anyone else want to jump in and share some insights or thoughts from those groups or from others? Those were just two that I saw.
Hi, everyone. I can go first. This is Sibel. Sorry, I'm not on camera because I have a pretty messy background right now, but I put down about myself in the chat. So I'm a conversation designer in a completely different field, which is finance and banking. And that has a different kind of customer goals. But I am personally passionate and interested in about children's voice skills and educational programs. That's why this event piqued my interest a lot. So I don't really know so much about like the technicalities of conversation design for children because I don't have a kid myself, and it's a different audience for me. So I'm here to learn and give feedback as much as what I know. Yeah, so thank you so much for putting this together.
Yeah, and on the technical piece, is Estella still on? Can you unmute? Do you want to tell them what the programming part of this, how that works?
The custom dialogues.
With the editor.
Oh, the Json Editor.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you want to change stuff, then you can go there, and it's where all the stuff is made.
Yep, and so we actually have a, let's see, how do I share my whole screen? There we go. Inside of here, if we go into edit some of the existing characters, you want to do things that are a little more sophisticated, we can go in and bring up the Json editor, and hopefully you guys can see this. And inside, we have the kids. This is an editor that kind of takes all the syntax and the curly braces and commas out. They do like to, some of them like to look at that because they feel more like they're programming when they look at it in the text view. But they can go in here and they can put new tags on phrases. They can create new custom dialogue models. They can change the popularity for different phrases or different dialogue models. So when they want to get away from just the 5 or 6 basic things they can do inside of the UI, this is where the STEM piece really happens, the coding learning. There's also a bunch of IT learning they do, just kids knowing where files go and that sort of thing. But if they want to change the name of an MP3 file that was associated with one of their things that they recorded, or change the different phrase types that are in here, they can go into the Json editor and edit things here.
Do you want to share a little bit, Isaac, about the schools that you're already working with and the forums that you already engage with?
Yeah, so I have done a ton of what I would call workshops. Some of them are for like Code Week and CS Ed type stuff, where we'll do a week-long thing that's maybe an hour a day or 3 hours a day. I've done a lot of like onesie, twosie workshops with libraries. I have different STEM teacher friends, and they're all very happy to have me come in and just have an engineer talk to their STEM class, right? But I've had difficulty like with uptake beyond that. The school systems, they, beyond just having a guest speaker come in and do something, they're seemingly not really set up, except a few of the STEM classes can use more different stuff, but they're really focused on the core curriculum. And so I've gotten a lot of feedback that way, and we do these big workshops, but I've stepped away from that, trying to just make it more fun, something that kids would want to do just on their own on their bedroom floor. But if I can't make it fun enough, I think it really compares well to like math homework. So the kids love doing this in classes, but that's obviously compared to the other class stuff they might be doing. Do we have a lot of educators in this group? No, not so much. Okay. More on the design side. Yeah, and so I've got things for sale on Amazon. I am just getting into the marketing. I've befriended Estella's mom, who runs Build a Robot K-12, and that's an after-school program that went online with COVID, and they do kind of a robot-based STEM learning after-school type stuff. And that was a great place for kind of the more techie kids to congregate, where I could find them where they already were. But I'm trying to figure out where to reach, because it's this weird hybrid of the kids got to be interested in it and the parents got to be interested in it. It's almost like a big software sale where you got 8 stakeholders that all have to sign off and get interested. And so I suspect that's going to be a big challenge for me. I don't know if any of you guys have had to deal with that.
Isaac, the parents pay for things, okay?
Yes.
So they're your customer.
Yep.
What you have created, the kids will love. So don't worry about that, okay? So don't go out trying to find kids. You can, but don't. Find parents who, most of whom, near as I can tell, are absolutely desperate to find things to do with their kids, and position what you're doing as something. What you need is what the equivalent is in education as professional development. You just need one video that tells parents how to help their kids do this, and encourages the parents to do this, because they're the buyers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then your venue is like homeschool buyers club, which is the largest single place where parents look for shit for their kids to do with their kids.
Interesting.
Or pandemic pods,
mm-hmm.
where parents look for some place to find something to do with their kids before they tear their hair out. So I completely appreciate that this is about children and creativity.
But the parents purpose, for sure.
Yeah, but if you're going to reach kids, you need to reach them to the parents, because they're the only ones that'll pay for it. And this is not something that's going to happen among sub 13-year-olds as some kind of, viral thing, word of mouth thing, because there isn't such a thing, a network.
I'm gonna have everyone say bye to Estella. Thank you so much for joining us, Estella. You're a star, just like your name.
Yes.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
I'm also going to suggest that it's probably a good stopping point for everybody else here. I've seen a couple people have to head out, and I know everybody has busy lives, but please reach out to Isaac. I love all this engagement and support. This was a different type of event that we've had where we're able to really be this open and honest and transparent. So I love that we're all here helping to build this community. Thank you, Bird and Isaac, for coming and for bringing your special guest. It was so fun to watch you interact with her and to see this whole programming in action. And yeah, we will definitely be looking into the platform and following your story, and look forward to hearing what comes next.
Thank you. Yeah, and please, put your email into the forum, or my email I just put in there. I'd love to talk to some more of you offline. I'm kind of in that mode of trying to collect ideas. I think Carter's idea about which of parents to approach, I mean, that's gold, Ed. I really appreciate that.
Isaac, did you want to put your email in the chat?
I did, yeah. I put the Isaac at toys2life.net in there. I'll put it in there again.
And we're looking to do another event probably in March. I saw that there's a suggestion that we do something around actually haven't covered in this group. So I'm happy to look at that. And I have a couple other fun topics that are waiting to be aired. So definitely can get to COPPA first. And I love that there's suggestions coming from this. It's awesome that we get to be so interactive and to chat with each other. So thank you again for coming, and look out for that next announcement. And again, thank you so much, Isaac and Bert, for sharing.
Yeah,
talk to everybody soon. Have a great rest of your morning in Robbie's case.
Thank you.
Talk to you later.